Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, the tea drinking author, who's currently drinking a very pleasant licorice tea. Not for everyone, but I like the flavoursome sweetness, and being a diabetic is one of the few sweeter things I can take. So, jolly nice stuff. Now, I have got these two. That's got platinum carbon black in it. Ideal for sketching with watercolours because it's absolutely rock solid when you wash over it. My TWSBI is full of Mont Blanc black, which is a much lighter, paler grey sort of colour, which goes very well with watercolours as well. So I like to keep these two going. I'm hoping to do a bit more painting this weekend coming. But I've also got this, which really does need, sorry, it's a pilot, it really does need some more ink in it. And I've been trying to work out what ink to have. Now, I've been doing ink reviews for quite some time, as you're probably fully aware. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how it is I pick what ink I'm going to use at any particular time. So here we go. Right, first off, before I forget, I must just say, please hit the like and the subscribe and all those other things, because it helps support the channel and it helps keep the channel going, basically. So thanks to all of you who have already signed up for Patreon and buy me a coffee and everything. It's deeply appreciated. Now, on with things. It was some years ago that a good fellow sent me this. This is a cahier using 68 GSM Tomo River paper, which is, as anybody who knows anything about Tomo River, it was one of the best papers you could get. The cahier itself is made by Gall pen. You can get in contact with them if you wish to deal with things. I'll try to remember to put a link down the bottom. But why do I want to talk about this? Because it meant I could use the same pen with the same nib on the same paper to test all the different inks that I had. And I started out with some nice simple ones like Diamine's China Blue, and went on to Israel's Zeeblau, which is wonderful. It's still one of my favourite inks. And then, what was that? Oh, Prussian Blue from Diamine. And what I started doing was, every time I got a new ink, just going to take this cover off because it's getting in the way rather dramatically. So, out you come. Thank you. So, yes, that's better. So here we go with 3 different colours. And what I started doing was, I thought, actually, wouldn't it be useful for people if I had an example of all the different colours of ink that I've got, all of them using the same pen, 1.1mm stub from a TWSBI Go. And the reason why I wanted a 1.1mm was so that I could show the difference that you would get in terms of shading and ink flow. Using the same pen meant that you could see what the outlining was like. Now, for example, look here at this lovely China Blue. Very pale, but you can see that each letter is really distinctly outlined. No idea what causes that, but certainly the outlining you get with some inks is a great deal more precise than with others. So what I started doing was, every week, reviewing a different ink. And I tried, first of all, to go through all the Diamines. And I started off going through Diamine Blues, because that made sense. And after a while, I started shading out towards the greener side of blue, so more teal. And then I started moving on to lavenders and violets. And I started going through, and I have now built up this really quite extensive selection of paragraphs written with different inks. The nice thing is that means you then have a measure, a gauge against which you can choose an ink for the day, the week, the month, whatever it might be. I tend not to write a huge amount with all these because I tend to use my Conway Stewart's or this. This is a Pineda Avatar Traveller's pen, which is just gorgeous to write with. It's quite slim, so it's easy in my hands. I adore the fact that it's got a magnetic cap, which just makes life easier. It has this wonderful flex nib. It's a special one that Dante Del Vecchio designed specially for the Pineda, and it's buttery smooth and gives you such variation when you're writing. You don't have to try hard to make it. It's just automatic with your writing. You will get a good amount of flexibility. Flexing? A good amount of, you know what I mean. It's also fascinating because this entire pen is built without any glue. Never leaked, never given me a day's problem. Wonderful, massive ink reservoir there and a secondary one there, so you can shut off the ink flow when you get on an aeroplane or anything and there's a change in pressure. You're safe. You won't get ink all over your jacket pocket or fingers. Marvellous, marvellous pen. Why was I saying that? Because if I'm doing notes and things, I will fill this up. This will keep me going for nearly a week. It's wonderful. But one of these with just a simple cartridge converter, I can get through that in a week or so as well. It doesn't take anything like the same quantity of ink. And to be frank, I get bored with the same colour ink all the time, so I like to change them. I like to ring the changes. That's what they say, isn't it? So what I tend to do is, on a day like today, when I'm at a bit of a loose end and I've got to pick a pen ink to go in this, I think, oh, what shall I have? What shall I have? It's quite tempting to go for the Earl Grey tea. Lovely bright colour, quite pleasant. I do love Autumn Forest, but I had that last week, so, you know, maybe I need something different this time. I've got some Robert Oster Devon. Now, the green is suitable for springtime, obviously, but I don't really fancy that for some reason. It is a lovely ink. It's one of a special edition, I think, that's made for Cult Pens, and really glorious. I was sent that. I bought one of the Cult Pens mystery packs of inks, and it was good fun. I also got this Pushinka, tiny, tiny testing bottle, but I love that colour. And then also I got the Rohrer und Klingner sketching ink, Tear, which is not to go in a real pen. That is only for dip pens, I think. I could well be wrong, but a lovely ink. So I've got lots of different colours. I've got greys, I've got dark blues, I've got greens, I've got a variety of dominant industries here. Quite tempted with winter wood, very pleasant dark brown. I'm also tempted with the violet and Romanian red and lungo and dusk. If you like a grey but you also want something that's a bit more interest in it, this is a glittering grey. Don't know if it's showing up. Yeah, you can just about see the sparkles there. Absolutely glorious little ink. And then I've got inks from Pastelier, Artisan Pastelier, I think they're called. I haven't written the name down properly here. But they're rather gorgeous too, especially since you can mix the Artisan Pastelier inks together to form your own colour, which is gorgeous. That's quite a tempting sepia, I think. Could go for that. But the point I'm trying to get across is it's nice just to be able to refer back to a list like this that has all the different inks that you like. And then you can fairly quickly, hopefully, come up with the one that you really want. Now, I think I might go for Delft's Blau. Is one of my favourite inks of all blues. Very much like Diamine's China Blue, but a little bit darker. But it's such a pale colour, I don't think it'll show up well from what is a pretty fine nib on my Pilot. So I think I might try Isinglass Tinte Scabiosa from Rohrer und Klingner, which is sort of slightly reddish brown, and I think rather lovely. So let's have a quick look at it, because the interesting thing is these are all written with a large stub nib, a 1.1mm stub, and I've no idea what they'll look like in a fine nib. So let's find out. Okay, so here we are again. This is Scabiosa. Now, it's one you need to be aware of, because Isinglass Tinte Scabiosa is, I believe, Isinglass means it's iron gall, oak gall. I think it's called both. It's very strong. It's a bit acidic, I think. Do not mix it with any other inks. That's the first thing. And I think it should be fine in all pens, but it's just one of those things. Be aware that you need to flush it through really carefully after you've finished using it. But it says here, for fountain pens, steel nibbed pens, dip pens, and individual writing utensils for calligraphy. Sums up pretty much everything to do with ink, doesn't it? Iron gall, oh it is, it says on the front, iron gall nut ink, Scabiosa. Doesn't say there's any problems. Made in Germany by Fabrik on RFA by Rohrer und Klingner, Leipzig. I've used a few of these. I was sent a few samples by a good friend Chris. Thank you, Chris. And I've been really impressed with all of them. I just really like the variety of colours. What is interesting with these things, like Scabiosa, is I'm going to fill this while talking. Is this a safe idea? No. But what the hell? Life is there to be lived dangerously, lid off. The interesting thing about it is that it oxidises when you've written, so it goes down with one colour and then dries to a different one, which just adds a little bit of fun to things, doesn't it? So let's just fill this with ink. Had an exciting evening yesterday, actually. Got to just tell you this, because I'm doing things, which means I might as well witter at you at the same time, because otherwise you might get bored. You might get bored anyway, but what do I care? Ha! I'm just the creative here. But yeah, we had quite an interesting evening, because we had five fire engines in the village. No fire, the absolute opposite problem. We had some flooding in some poor devil's house just down the way, and they had to have all these fire trucks around just to try to empty out his hall and kitchen from all the water that was bubbling up. So here we have a delightful pen. I am now going to reach for a delightful notebook, which seems to have gone the way of all notebooks in my office and decided to go and disappear. So instead, I will, there it is. I'll reach for this one because it's a jolly good notebook. And it has got the big advantage of having a firm base. So yes, we had all these fire engines round, and we had a delightful notice from the fire service this morning saying, if you were at all alarmed yesterday, don't panic, it's not that serious. And I'm sure that in case you're concerned, you'll be delighted to know that we will shortly be, what did they say? Shortly be coming round to give a presentation to people in case you're worried about fires and other risks. And I've got to say that I'm just waiting now. The postman's just driven up and stopped outside. So does that mean he's coming here to irritate me and interrupt things? Very likely. So I might get cut off in my prime, as we say over here. Well, some people do. I don't very often because it seems a bit pointless, because I'm not. Right, so here we have what else can I say about it? Well, as I mentioned, it has a not unpleasant odour. It smells vaguely vinegary. Not a where is it there? Doesn't smell like malt vinegar. Smells sort of strangely nutty as well. I assume that's the oak gall. Not unpleasant. Not as pleasant as, say, the odour of coconut you get from some of the KWZ inks. And I say that it should be waterproof. Let's just make sure. A little bit of smudging where it's wettest up at the right hand side. But the dried ink, nothing whatsoever. This is pretty much bulletproof. So all of those who are looking for something which will be solid, archival material, which will be reliable, which will have a good flow in their pens, and which will be waterproof, you can't go far wrong with the Eisengalles Tinte Rohrer und Klingner's. They are good. Now, that's all for now. I've been wittering at you for long enough, I think. If you've got any questions, do please put them down the bottom. I always try to answer as quickly as possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all those things. And apart from anything else, I'll have a little scene of puppies going potty, which was last week when my daughter brought her Belgian Malinois round to visit, and our life was turned upside down for the next couple of hours, which was fun. So, thanks a lot for watching. Take care. Speak to you soon. Not a good place to sit, old girl.